stuff, you already kind of heard most of it, but 4 years I was a professional clothier, so I dress people for a living. I talked about personal image and how the personal image can help you get to the next level. I spent 9 years in advertising, so radio, newspaper, digital advertising, and I've spent the last 11 years in IT consulting. I just mention this because, again, as a business owner, you need to be able to advertise and promote your business, so I've had a little bit of experience in that. Okay, next slide, Dennis. All right, everybody, who was the first salesman in the world? Anybody? Yes? I would,
I think the devil.
Okay, next slide. Yes, absolutely, right? The devil, Satan, convinced Eve that his version of the world was better than God's. So Satan was the first salesperson in the world. Next. Why focus on sales? Here's just a couple proverbs in Romans. Lazy hands makes for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth. And not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord, Romans 12:11. Next. These are what we're going to talk about in more detail. The top 10 skills that I've used to propel myself into a six-figure sales role. Prerequisites, written, well, you see, and then pre-sales and sales. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. The number one prerequisite, if you want to achieve, is to have a written goal. For business, for life, what are your written goals? So there's a Harvard study in 1953. This is referenced a lot, but I love it. So they studied everybody that was graduating from Harvard, and then they followed up with them 10 years later, and they found, go ahead, that if you didn't write down your goals, people that have written down their goals, the 13% who wrote down their goals earned 2 times as much as the 84% of people who didn't write their goals down. But the interesting part is not the 13%, but the remaining 3%, go ahead, who wrote down their goals earned 10 times as much as the other 97% combined. So that is the power of writing down your goals, having a plan, and revisiting them multiple times. Go ahead and hit the next button. My recommendation, I do this every year, every December. I write down a 1, a 3, and a 5-year goal, and I do it not just business-wise. I do it for my religious goals, my family goals, my health goals, my wealth goals, and my fun goals. And then more importantly, I give that to somebody and ask them to hold them accountable. So I look at this every day. What are my goals? What am I trying to do? And then not only, so my religious goals, and maybe I have 5, 10, what I've learned is that you have your goals and then you have your number one goal, right? And that number one goal is what I write down and I look at every day. What's my number one religious goal? What's my number one health, wealth, family, fun? I look at that every day and go, okay, what am I going to do today to help me get to where I want to go? And when you keep your goals in front of you, and you start coming up with a plan, you're going to get there because you're reviewing them all the time. If you don't do that, then other people will determine your goals, right? So either you determine your goals and you work towards them, or other people will determine them for you. Either way, you're going to have goals. Just depends on whether or not you want to be in control of them or not. Next slide, Dennis. Prerequisite number 2 is passion. You have to have passion for your product or your service or your business. And if you don't, I have found you fail miserably. So I put down here Tom James from Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Tom James was my professional clothing business, or that I did. I did that for 3 years. I worked 60, 80 hours a week. I made probably $40,000 a year. I spent a whole bunch of money on clothes. I am not a clothes person. I sucked at it. I loved the company, but I wasn't good. It wasn't where my passion was at. 2 years ago, I felt that God was telling me to leave IT and what I was doing and go into Salesforce and help nonprofits prosper. I didn't follow God's plan completely. I went in and did IT, Salesforce, but I went to a different path. I did all right there, and then I was laid off in June. I still didn't follow God. I went to Salesforce. My dream was to always work for Salesforce. I finally made it, keeping that goal in front of you, right? And what I found was when I got to Salesforce and did Marketing Cloud, I was working with banks and financial credit unions. Not my passion. I failed. I never did worse in sales in my entire life. I spent 2 years trying to get to my dream company, only to realize that wasn't what I wanted to do. Right? So I made it for 6 months. I made more money than I ever had made in my life, and I sucked at it. So I left. We mutually left together, and now I am selling Salesforce to nonprofits, and I love it. Love it. I'm able to, I was just telling Terry, I'm able to evangelize. I'm able to talk to God to people. I have, in the first 2 months, I have closed 4 new accounts. My company cannot be more thrilled, happy with what I'm doing, and I'm helping them grow. They're an 11-man company, very small, but I'm helping them get in places that they never, after 4 years in business, have never made it before. So because I'm following my passion, I'm happy every day I wake up. I'm thrilled. I'm excited to go to work. And when you work in a place you love, it's not the hours you're putting in because you're just happy doing what you're doing. Next slide. Never stop learning. So this is I love this. If you're looking to hire salespeople, ask them what is the last book that they've done? What's the last investment they've made in their life to make their passion better? When I first got into sales, I had a marketing and logistics dual degree, and I wanted to be a brand manager. I did not want to be in sales, but what I found was the marketing jobs that were available were $30,000. I had just spent a whole bunch more money than that to get my degree, and I said, no. So I ended up in sales, and that's what I did. Providence, that's what I did the haberdashery. I was not good at it. I didn't want to be in it, but one of my clients was the marketing director of WJR, radio stations down in Detroit. He helped me get my Citadel broadcasting job here in Lansing, and then I took a class. I finally decided to invest in myself. I took a class called Nose to Nose Selling with a guy named Phil Klein here, Dale Carnegie guy. We're going to go over the 6 questions later on that he taught me that changed my whole trajectory. I went from a mediocre, bad, kind of C-level, D-level salesperson to the #1 new business development rep at Citadel Broadcasting. I have never not been that since because I invested in myself. So these are the books I like. Positive thinking, prospecting, negotiation, how to win business. Go ahead, next. I listen to YouTube all the time. That 1,000% formula from Brian Tracy is amazing. And he basically talks about how if you improve yourself 1% a week, that you will get 1,000% more income in 10 years. It's an amazing. I've listened to that weekly. And then Simon Sinek, you guys probably have heard of him, but Change Your Narrative, that one was amazing. He talks about he found a homeless person and talked about, he just changed the sign. So that person, she averaged $20 a day panhandling. He changed her sign, which changed the narrative. And it said something along the lines of, I know you can't give to everyone. If please give to someone, I'll be here next month, or something like that. And she made $40 in 2 hours, so double what she normally makes. And she left and went home. And he said the narrative there is that if she would have stayed her normal time, she would have made $150. But she, in her mind, knew that she only cost her $20 a day to live. She made $40. She was done. So, but just changing the narrative, changing the way you think and the way you talk, will change your outcome. So that's a really good one too. I'd encourage you to watch this. I'm assuming, Terry, you're going to send this out to everybody afterwards, or you could. I would love that. Yeah. Awesome. Go ahead and go to the next one. Oh, look, Dan Loke. That one is a sales guy. I put in language warning because he's a little bit more abrasive than I like to listen to. But he actually has some really good points. And the thing I learned from Dan is that you need to make it simple for them to buy. Right? So a confused buyer doesn't buy. If you put too many options in front of them, if you say, well, you could do this, or you could do this, or you could do this, or you could do this, well, now you just gave that person analysis paralysis. That's not your job. Your job is to listen to their problems and then say, based on your problems, here's the #1 recommendation I have that would solve everything. And we can do it in phases, or we can do it all at once. But this is going to solve the problems that you talked about. Whereas instead of say, here's 6 different ways you can solve your problem, he can figure out 6 different ways. He's looking to you as an expert to tell him what is the best paint. What's the best paint that's going to roll on nicely, that's going to look well, that's going to wash well, that's going to wear well, and that's going to last the longest amount of time. And maybe it's not the cheapest one, but when you look at your value, what you're trying to bring to it, then this is the reason why I'm recommending this paint. Okay, next one. Conferences and webinars. Those are the 4 things that I do all the time to continue to grow my expertise in my field. And if you're looking at your sales team, that's the sort of stuff that they should be wanting to do and asking you to do, because it allows them to grow in their expertise and allows them to network. Next. So those are all the prerequisites. Now we're getting into your actual sales and growing it. The number 1 thing you need to do is know your customer. So define who is your best customer. What industry are they in? What's their annual revenue? How many employees do they have? Title of decision makers that you had the most success with. That one's really important because maybe you know, again, Terry, with your business, that the person that you go after or the industry is commercial, right? And that average revenue is $5 million. Your employee count doesn't really matter so much to you, but when you're talking to a marketing C-suite person, that doesn't matter because they don't care about the paint, right? So you need to have the CEO and the president because that's who's going to make your biggest decision. So knowing who makes your biggest decisions is good, and then what pain points does your product have that it can solve? Next. Just kind of walk this through this with me. My industry is nonprofit. Their annual revenue is $1 million to $5 million. Their employees are 20 to 100 people. More than that, we don't have such good success because we're too small. So it's important to know the size. I look for executive directors or founders. And then the pain points that my product typically sells that they have problems with is fundraising, program management, branding, outreach, and event management. So if they're in pain in any one of those 5 areas, I have a solution that's going to rock their world. If they have different pain points, maybe not so much. Next slide. So next is KPIs. Everybody knows what a KPI is. Can you tell me what KPI stands for?
Key performance indicators.
Key performance indicators. So it's said that what's not tracked or what's not measured isn't improved. Go ahead and next slide. Go ahead and put all those ones down, Dennis, please. Yep. Okay. So one more, Dennis. Perfect. The way I look at this and the way I found success is from the beginning, working backwards, right? So how many contacts do you need to book a discovery call? So this is business to business sales. This isn't business to consumers. They're not walking into your business. At Tom James, when I sold clothes, they knew if you called 100 people, you would get a hold of 17 people. Of those 17 people, 4 people would say yes. It didn't matter. It was just pure numbers. They did enough. They knew that. So if you did those, they made you call 2 hours a day from 3 to 5 every day. 100 contacts, 100 dials. Whether you contacted them or not, 100 dials, 17 contacts, 4 appointments. Then, of those discovery calls you get, what percentage of those discovery calls make it to a proposal? Not everybody is a good fit for your business. If you always say yes and always propose, you're going to find you're going to get a whole bunch of customers that suck up your time, that aren't profitable, that aren't good for your business. So it's imperative for your salespeople to identify, and for you to identify not only who your best customers are, but who are the customers you don't want. Because then when the salesperson is there and they've identified that they're not a good fit, they need to say, thank you very much. I don't think we can help you out with what you're doing. I think here's another provider that might be able to help you out better. And then you're still leaving with a positive attitude. You're still leaving with them with a resource, and they'll come back to you when they're a better fit, or they'll refer you to somebody who is a better fit for you. Your closing ratio for the proposals for both NL is new logos, EC is existing customers. They're going to be different. Person who has no idea, has never worked with you, they're going to buy less. When I was working with Terry, we had, when he needed new computers, the chances of him saying yes to the new computers I proposed was pretty high because we have a relationship, we have a trust there. We talk about what he needs, I propose, he says yes. New customer, New paint company, I say, hey, you need these computers. They go, Amazon, I'm done. It's just different, right? So, and then the average sale. So in order to get to your goal, you need to know what your average sale is as well. So from a sales manager's perspective, those are all, every salesperson should know that in a heartbeat. You should be able to ask any salesperson you have in your team, any one of those 4, and they should know what their numbers are. As a sales manager, go ahead, Dennis. You should know what your company close ratio is so you can compare it to your salespeople. Next. What your company average sales is, again, so you can compare it to your every salesperson's average sale. Next. The company's numbers of sales per month and per rep. Next. And this is an important one. What is your defined sales process? So, as a person who's been in sales for 24 years, when I'm talking to a new company about maybe working, selling for them, I need to know, hey, okay, you're going to give me a quota of $1 million a year. Great. What is the average salesperson bring in? What is their closing ratio? Tell me a little bit more about your sales process. How long does it take you to get from a discovery call to a close, and what is that average rate? Because I need to know whether that $1 million is a realistic number or not. I may be coming from, this actually happened to me. So I came from Salesforce. I'll back up. At Spring ML, my budget was $1.5 million. I left, I went to Salesforce. My budget was $750,000. I got paid more. I'm like, this is easy as half my budget. You know what I sold in 6 months? $12,000. It wasn't so easy. This job, my budget or my quota for the year is $500,000. Again, I'm like, well, I did a $1.3 million I did my first year at Spring ML. I just missed my budget, but there's a ramp up period, so apparently I made it. But my point is, again, I'm thinking, I did 1.3 million. This should be easy. It's $500,000. What I didn't ask was, what is your company's average year? They haven't broken $1 million yet. They're a 7-people company. So for me to do $500,000 would be basically doubling their business. But this is my first, my second full month was last month. And this month when I closed my 3 or 4, I'm at 22,000. They're like over the moon excited because they know that things are coming. But my point is, if you don't know, then it's hard to determine whether or not the opportunity is a good opportunity or not, and if it's realistic or not. And what's the last one? I think there's one more. Yep. The maximum number of sales, each one. So I got off track a little bit. Define your sales process. This is something that Providence Consulting and I did a lot, and it made a huge difference. When we looked at our closing, our wins, we looked at what did we do differently with those wins than we did when we lost. And what we discovered was, when we went and made the proposal, if the new client wouldn't come into the office, this is before COVID, if they wouldn't come in the office and meet some of the people that they'd be working with, the chances of closing that opportunity, that new client, was maybe 20%. It was significantly lower. If they said, yes, we'll come in for the proposal, and we'd love to meet some of your coworkers and people we'll be working with, that closing ratio was about 80%. So what we decided was, based on numbers, based on our reality, we then made it a policy that if you weren't willing to come in for the proposal, we weren't going to give you one. So going back into who's your best customer and knowing, if you know what your sales process is and you know what helps you close, then you need to be strong enough to say, hey, this is our policy. And the reason why we're doing this is because what we found is that it's beneficial for you, Mr. Customer. The people who come in here, they get to see the building. They get to meet people behind the screens they're going to be working with. They get more comfortable. They like it more. And so if you're not willing to come in, then we're not going to spend our time, because chances are you're going to say no anyways. And so that's your choice. And then some people came in, some people didn't. But when they came in, 80% closing ratio. And then the maximum number of days per stage. So there's the discovery call, proposal, da da da. If you know that you start losing people, if they stay in the stage, let's say from the time they have a discovery call till when you're going to have a proposal, right? If they go, okay, well, yeah, it's going to take us 3 weeks before we get to see the proposal. Maybe that's not so good, right? If you know that if you do a discovery to a proposal in 48 hours, that win ratio is significantly higher, then you can start putting metrics in place again, start saying, hey, you know what? We know that we lose business if it takes more than 72 hours for them to have a proposal. So our requirement now as a business is they need to say yes to seeing a proposal within 72 hours. If they don't, it's not a good fit. We're not going to waste our time doing the proposal because they're not going to say yes, most likely. All right, next. So I want to show you kind of how I do this stuff, and this is what I do all the time. So right now, Salesforce, 30% of all their sales are done in the fourth quarter. So my budget is $500,000, and so the rest of these numbers I made up. But if the average company sales $10,000, closing ratio for new customers is 25%, closing ratio from discovery to proposal is 50%, and hunter roll means I'm going out to find a new business. I'm not talking to existing customers. My goal is to find and bring in new business. So I'm really more concerned with that 25% number, not that 75, and I pay $500,000. Go ahead, Dennis. So how this works is, and this is how, as a business person, you should be talking to and developing your quotas for your sales team. Your quota is $500,000. If I did that evenly, that would be $41,000, $42,000 a month. But the reality is, right, 30% of my business is going to come fourth quarter. So I should be giving them a budget of $35,000 January through September, and then $50,000 October through December, because that lines up with how my customers buy. Every industry has peaks and valleys. And you have a budget you need to hit, an annual revenue you need to hit, but you need to be realistic with yourself and with your salespeople and set budgets based on the ebbs and flow of your industry and your trends. And you should be able to see that over numerous years and months that you've been selling, and you can match that. Next. So if I want to hit $35,000 a month, I would need 4 deals per month, because $10,000, the average sale, times 4 is $40,000. My goal is 35. That means I'm exceeding, which is what I always want to do. I never want to go below the number. I want to go above. Next slide. The closing ratio is only 25%, which means that I need to pitch 4 new clients a week in order to close $10,000 per month. Does everybody follow that logic? All right, next. So if I have to present 4 proposals per week, and my closing ratio from discovery to proposal is only 50%, that means I also need to schedule 8 discovery calls per week. So 8 discovery calls, 4 proposals to hit my number. The reason why this is important for business owners to know is, if you know what those numbers are, you can look at your sales team and say, are they hitting these numbers or not? Are they close to these numbers or not? Because guess what? If they're not close to these numbers, they're not going to hit your number. And if you think about it, if the average proposal and the average discovery is an hour, it's not, you're saying 2 discovery calls, that's 2 hours. 1 proposal is 3 hours. That means 5 hours a day. They can be either working on a proposal or they can be prospecting. It's not unrealistic. So I always say, is what you're asking a realistic solution or not? And if it's not realistic, then you need to look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, we need to address something. Whether that is we need to get the average sale up, whether that is we have to get the closing ratio up, what is it we can play with these numbers with? Because then it's all a matter of tweaking numbers. Every month, Terry, at Providence Consulting, I was looking at how do I raise my average sale up? How do I start my month better? So if I close more reoccurring revenue monthly contracts, I start out not at 0, I start out at $30,000. When I started at Providence, our average monthly reoccurring revenue was $44,000. When I left, our average reoccurring salary or revenue was $171,000 a month. So we knew at the beginning of the year, we had $1.7 million ish that was going to be coming in, regardless, as long as I didn't lose business under contract, 1.7 million from 44,000. So always looking at how do you maneuver these things to get to where you want to go. Next. Or actually, any questions on that first? All right. Go ahead, Dennis. All right. So master art of prospecting. Oh, and you can see that I have my little Bible verses up top. I've been forgetting those. Forgive me. Typical company. That's not a Bible verse. Ha! I messed myself up. But the typical company loses between 15 and 20% of customers per year. I learned that at Tom James, and I also learned it at Citadel Broadcasting. And the important part is, and this is what was ingrained in my brain, was you never know which 15 to 20% you're going to lose. It could be all small customers, or it could be your biggest ones. So the reality is, if you're not always prospecting, you're going to go backwards, because you never know. Eventually, you're going to lose one of your big customers. It's just life. Yeah, they're going to find something different, and you're going to lose a big customer. And if you're not prepared, then it doesn't work. So I made a policy of mine to become an expert prospector. The number one way, referrals. Number two, social media. Cold calling, ironically cold calling. People don't like cold calling anymore. I still love it. Door-to-door, seminars, mass emails, networking events. And again, ironically, I love networking events as well. It's my favorite thing because I'm a salesperson who lets me talk. But it's the least effective way. Next slide. Go ahead. Referrals. So how many people here ask for referrals for your business? 2. How often do you ask? Oh, great, all of you. How often?
All the time.
Next. 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 So the best time to ask I found is as soon as you close a deal. As soon as they say yes, we want to do business with you. Excellent. Who do you know that can benefit from the same thing that we just talked about, that has the same problems you have? The reality is businesses tend to flock together, right? Birds of a feather flock together. If they're struggling with something, chances are they know somebody else who's struggling with the same thing. Next. When you finish your semi-annual or annual review, again, when I was at Providence, they said their contract, they would do an annual review. When I got there, there's maybe 5% done a year. I said, well, this is the dumbest thing I ever said. Why would you not sit down with your customers? Well, ask for it. If you put it in their contract, you're going to have an annual review. And so what we would do, what I started doing was just having semi-annual and annual reviews, and it wasn't to sell them anything. That was not the purpose. The purpose was, hey, are we living up to your expectations? Here's all the issues that we've dealt with in the last year. How else can we be a better partner? And then I would always take time and say, here are the industry trends that we're seeing in the marketplace. Here's how businesses are using technology to advance their business. My goal was to make sure that every one of my customers did not become a blockbuster, right? They did not take advantage of technology and then would put themselves out of business. So it wasn't to sell them anything. It was always to say, these are trends that you should be looking at. Is there anything in the next year out of these 5, 6 trends that you want to maybe explore some more? And then we could schedule another meeting about that. But it was never to sell them those 5 things. It was, this is what's going on with business, and this is how you can use technology to make your business better. Next. Whenever you complete a project, they're happy, you did a good job, ask for referrals. Next. And right after you get a 5-star review, right? That's the best time. Hey, thank you very much for that 5-star review. Who else? Who else do you know that wants 5-star service that isn't getting it currently? And then my favorite, next, my pro tip. Top 100. So what happens is, and I learned this in Tom James, if you say, hey, James, can you think of maybe 3 or 4 other nonprofits that could benefit from what we just talked about? James may give me 1, right? It's on the spot. He's not thinking about it. If I say, hey, James, I really want to make an impact in Lansing. I really want to Salesforce doesn't cost nonprofits anything. There's $0 out of their pocket, and they can have a huge digital transformation. And more importantly, they can really help this community better, make it better. Here are the top 100 nonprofits I want to do business with. Can you please cross off anybody that I couldn't use your name for? And they look through it, takes them 5 minutes, they just go, they cross off anybody that they don't know, and then you leave with 15, 20 referrals that he didn't have to think about. Because he wouldn't have thought about those people, but he does know them. And it is okay if you use his name. It may not help me because James doesn't know him that well, but he doesn't mind if I say, I met with Anthony and I think it's a good idea. Because they'll call him. Yeah, I think it's a good idea. So that gets you 15 to 20 referrals. If I just ask James for a referral, it gets me 1 or 2. So knowing your top 100 businesses, top 100 people you want, but I had sold clothes. I had Tom Izzo on there. I had every influencer in Lansing, the top 100 people I wanted to do business with. And I would say, here's the top 100 people I want to do business with. Who can't I call? And they would cross off numbers, and I would end up having referrals to lots of people. I ended up doing business with a senator in Rochester. And I always remember this because I was at my little house here in Waverly. It's 8 o'clock at night. The phone rings. And I talked to this guy for a little bit. It's a setup appointment. I got the phone. My wife said, "Who's that?" I said, "That was the Speaker of the House calling to schedule an appointment." So this little guy that hates clothes. I'm getting the Speaker of the House calling me. I'm not calling him. He's calling me because I had referrals. Next. All right, so now we get into what I like to call working smarter versus harder. So LinkedIn Navigator. Who uses LinkedIn Navigator for business? All right, great. So go ahead and click the next button, the next two actually. So LinkedIn Navigator is great for business-to-business sales because you can filter based on revenue, headcount, location, technology use, etc. So it's kind of hard to see, but what I did here was I looked for nonprofits, and I did nonprofits with the revenue that I talked about before, right? So 10 to 20 people, or 20 to 100, $1 to $5 million. It came up, the top one right there is 3.5 thousand nonprofits in Michigan, this is the U.S., in the U.S. that fit my criteria. 3.5 thousand, 3,500, that's too many for me to prospect to. I won't ever get to them, it won't be good. So then I filtered it down to, I added, you can't see it, but I added marketing. So they had a marketing department between 1 and 4 people. And HubSpot is a major competitor of Salesforce that actually uses HubSpot because there's all kinds of holes like poke in HubSpot. So I look for technology and I look for a marketing department on top of that, and that filtered down to 195. So I went from 3,500 down to 195 businesses. That's a reasonable prospect list. And then you can click into it. So this one right here, which is volunteer match. If you click in volunteer match, it gives you this. This is how they make their money. This is their strategic priorities. And this is every key person in that company. So if you're a business to business, that's pretty cool stuff, right? If you click on that, then you can start also seeing what kind of contact information do they put in LinkedIn. Usually when they're at C-suite stuff, they want you to get hold of them. That's why they're on LinkedIn. So they typically will put information on there. And if not, then you can go to their website and you can go, hey, I need to figure out how to get a hold of this person. But that gives you how to build up your account base, or your prospecting list. Next. Here's what I really like, library databases. When I was selling Tom James, there used to be a database called Reference USA. And Reference USA had every person in the United States in the database based on Census Bureau, and you could sort by income level and by a whole bunch of other things. And I would use that to find high net worth people that would more likely buy high expensive clothes. But in the just DeWitt library, you can go to this one, it's called A through Z databases, and they have detailed information on more than 30 million businesses and executives. And you can filter by all kinds of things. So this search, I filtered by individuals who had a net worth of at least $500,000, lived in Lansing, East Lansing or Jackson, and was a donor of either charitable, religious, or veteran service. Why? Because I am a vet, and I love talking with people who are veteran focused. So now I can pull up a list, and I can see, I can't see off the top of my head. Dennis, can you read how many, right below that green button, how many people there is there? Does it say that? I can't tell. So I don't know off the top of my head, but it would pull back that report. You can pull it off an Excel document. You can then upload it into your prospecting service, whether that's HubSpot or Salesforce or whatever. And now you have a list of a whole bunch of people that fit your demographic, which go back to why is it important to know who your key demographic is? Because you can't do any of this stuff if you don't know who your best customers are. You should be using this stuff. Once you understand who your best customers are, now you can use technology to hone in on where the heck are those people at and how do I get a hold of them. Next. So I call this going to the nest, right? So think about for Terry being the commercial real estate agent or commercial painter that he is. Terry, do you do residential as well or just commercial? Okay. So maybe for residential, you want to go to the Real Estate Association of America, whatever, because all the real estate agents go there and they need to have it cleaned up, whatever. So you go to where your best customers go. What type of businesses do they do business with? Next. So for me, nonprofit, every nonprofit needs a lawyer. Every nonprofit needs a CPA. They need their bank or their credit union, and they need associations. So right now, I am talking to the Michigan Nonprofit Association. I'm talking to a nonprofit network to say, hey, I can do webinars for you to help your nonprofits understand how to be more efficient, better, All of their customers are nonprofits, right? So that's my target market. Why can't I use them to market for me? And then I give them a discount, say, hey, the associations, they always want to build value. They're trying to get you to buy into association. So what value do you bring? Well, I'm going to give them a 15% discount off of any labor we do, not an inflated BS one, right? Our rate's $155 per hour. We give them a 15% discount, so their rate is $135. So if I belong to M&A or the nonprofit network, I can get any kind of work that we do for $135. Why? Because they're a member. Why does it value us to do 15% discount? I'm not looking for them, right? They're bringing them to me. So how do you get people to bring you business? And that's by adding value to them. So for banks and credit unions, I have a couple, not very many, but I have a couple that I'm talking to, same thing. They target nonprofits. So if they target nonprofits, it's beneficial to them. If I can help them grow their business, their nonprofit, then their deposits are going to go up, the bank benefits, right? So it's a win-win-win. I win, the nonprofit wins, the bank wins. So looking for companies that your best customers go to or use is a way to accelerate your sales significantly without much effort. So you're providing added value to the nest, I call it, and then in return for that, they're bringing you leads versus you going out there and building it. It helps you build your brand as well. Next. Okay. Number 4, work your brand. So there is your company brand and then there's a salesperson's brand, right? So the company brand, a salesperson doesn't care as much about because that's being done for them automatically, right? That brand is their brand. Nike's brand, Intel, whatever, NVIDIA, doesn't matter. But how do you brand? What do you bring to the table as a salesperson? That's why I'm on LinkedIn. I am not on Facebook. I am not on Instagram. My customers are business to business. I could care less about Facebook or Instagram. My business people are not on those platforms. And if they are on those platforms, they're not there to learn about how to make their business better. They're there to not think about their business. So if I'm trying to talk to them about business on a social channel that has nothing to do with business, it's not the best thing for me. So knowing if you're going after business to consumers, then you probably want to be on those places that I don't want to be on. So remember number 2 was social media is the most effective way to get new customers. You want people talking about your brand. So what can I put out there? What can I add on LinkedIn? I do a lot of demos on mine, ways to solve problems. And I talk about the problems that nonprofits have. Hey, do you have a problem with fundraising? Well, look, you can do it this way. Hey, do you have a problem with program management? This is a way you can solve it. So whether they actually ask for me or not, I'm giving them value, and I'm not charging for it, and I'm not trying to sell it. I'm just saying, here's something you can do.
But you're talking about LinkedIn, not Facebook.
I am talking about LinkedIn, yes. Now, again, because my customers are not business to consumers. Also, personally, I find on Facebook, there's a lot of non-Christian content, I'll just put it that way, that is on Facebook that I don't want to associate with. And so I'm just not going to a platform where I don't feel is very godly. I don't see that on LinkedIn yet, and hopefully it'll stay off of that. I don't necessarily see it as much on X/Twitter, but there is definitely people that are trying to hijack Twitter for non-godly aspects. So I've just found personally that I'm just on LinkedIn. So I have about 3,500 connections on LinkedIn. I've been able to use that to get another job and to grow business significantly by using LinkedIn, and again, by always building my brand as ways I can give back. Me personally, if I was again selling real estate, right, I would be on social media. I would be on Instagram. I would be on Twitter. I'd ask my kids what are the dang things that are out there that aren't for old people, because Facebook is now for old people, right? Yeah, stupid TikTok. I hate TikTok with a passion, but if I was selling homes, I would probably be on TikTok because that's where the young people are. If I'm selling to first-time home buyers, that's where I'd be at. Now, if I'm selling $500,000 plus homes, probably not going to be on TikTok. Personally, I probably would be looking at where do those $500,000, $1 million earners, where the heck do they stay at and what's important to them, and that's where I'm going to promote to. So it goes back to knowing your key customers and how you can tie that all in. Any other questions? All right, next. All right, now this demo is not going to work. We tried it earlier, but now we're getting to the sales part, and that's working smarter versus harder. In all honesty, the next few slides are going to be all Salesforce focused, and the reason why they're all Salesforce focused is after 24 years, I have found it is a game changer in numerous ways to let me work much more effectively with very little effort. So this one, if you could play it, would actually show there's a new SKU that they have that allows you to connect sales, service, and marketing all into one license. And they would kind of walk you through that stuff. We can't do that, so we're just going to move on to the next slide. Go ahead and push play on this one.
Sales Cloud Einstein is the fastest, easiest way to create a data-driven sales culture. It automatically captures customer data from email and calendars, so reps can skip time-consuming tasks like data entry. Then, Einstein takes all that data and turns it into sales insights, like surfacing an alert when a meeting is requested, a competitor is mentioned, or an executive has been added to the email, so your reps can respond immediately. Einstein prioritizes the leads that are most likely to convert and recommends a follow-up action. You can even treat leads differently based on their predictive lead score, like passing the hottest leads to your best reps. It also monitors the overall health of each opportunity, identifying those that might be at risk, and recommending the next best step to close the deal. You can even put customer data right into your reps' inboxes, helping them to engage faster with more targeted conversations. And accelerate growth by visualizing, exploring, and taking action on your sales data, all with just a few clicks. Finally, Einstein guides your forecasting with AI-driven insights, taking guesswork out of the process. And you can also see a predictive forecast with the key factors highlighted, so it's easier to course correct and keep deals on track. Create a data-driven sales culture. with Sales Cloud Einstein.
You want to make sure you hit pause on that, so don't play again, please. So that has got so many good things in there, right? So let's say we were talking about earlier, we built out that prospect list. It's 3,500 potential contacts, right? By myself, I'm not doing that, right? But if the company had a 3,500 that we knew were good prospects, and then did an email drip campaign to them, and I got a lead score that said, hey, they've finally interacted enough with our marketing campaign that they're now likely ready to say yes to a meeting, and I would get an alert if anybody gets a lead score of, say, over 80. Well, now I'm not constantly trying to figure out which of those 3,500 people I should be calling. I'm only calling on my warm to hot leads because it's telling me, hey, this company is a good shot of saying yes. You probably should call them. And I don't have to waste my time going through my list. Even at 195, it's a lot of time to call each person. You can see what triggered them to say yes. Are they interacting on commercial paint? Are they interacting on residential paint? Are they interacting on a particular style of house? Are they interacting on maybe a VA loan versus a traditional loan? Now, as a salesperson, I can not only see who the lead score is, but I can click on that and say, what are they interacting with? So that when I pick up the phone and call, I can already have a script written out that is talking about that particular thing that I sell, that we solve, pain that we solve for. So this stuff is all artificial intelligence driven. It's amazing, and I love it. Next. Oh, next slide, sorry.
What's the cost for that?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't sell that part. I sell the implementation, but I think it's about $60 a person per month, I think. I'd have to go back. So with Salesforce, it's kind of like buying radio or TV. There's the printed price, the rack rate, they call it, and then there's the real rate. So depending on how long you sign up a contract for and what all you buy, the discounts can be significant. Also when you buy. So there's a reason why 30% of their business comes in fourth quarter, because in fourth quarter, Salesforce discounts between 60 to 80% of their rec rate if you buy, especially if you buy in January. If you ever buy Salesforce, you want to buy in January, you can get an 80% discount off the regular rate. 80%. So they have website personalization, which is not going to be talked about here, but basically it allows you to, when someone comes to your website and then they leave, when they come back, whatever they were looking at last, that's what they see. So it's not the same thing. Yeah, right? And I think you'll see here in a few minutes, but they also have dynamic content for email, so that based on what they looked at last on your website, the email that they get is going to have different content. And if you send out an email, so they downloaded a white paper, hypothetically, right? And so that triggered you to say, okay, I'm going to send out an email based on this white paper. But you send it on Friday, and by Monday they haven't opened it up yet. And they went back to your website though, and they looked at something different, but now your email changes. So now your email is changed automatically, and it's going to be about what they looked at last, because that's what they care about. And so that's going to be more likely that they're going to be engaged, because you're sending them an email that is based on what they're looking at in your website. It's amazing, and you don't have to think about it. All you got to do is put it together, and then it's automatic. So it's not necessarily cheap to do that piece. But once it's running, the likelihood of the increase in your business is significant. All right, I think, yep, go ahead and go to the next slide. Not sales. Yep, this is good. So this is about AI. Go ahead and push play.
Now that we're well into 2024, who's still crushing their New Year's resolutions? Not me, but businesses are. 86% of IT leaders say generative AI will play a big role in their organization's near future. In the now, Salesforce is already showcasing its latest AI tech and leadership and updates to Commerce Cloud, Marketing Cloud, Einstein Copilot, and more. Here's the latest edition of the Salesforce Newsroom's news you should know. What's the hottest thing in retail? Hologram service reps? 3D printing custom fedoras? Self-driving shopping carts? Nah, it's Einstein. AI influenced $199 billion worth of shopping this past holiday season. With Einstein's latest features in Commerce Cloud and Marketing Cloud, Salesforce makes it easier for retailers to use generative AI to build e-commerce sites, hyper-personalized content, and even potentially minimize future returns.
1 in 6 consumers are leveraging Gen AI for product inspiration and shopping. As one customer put it, AI becomes the new UI. What the most interesting thing that Salesforce does is incorporates this intelligence in the flow of work. Retailers are struggling with returns, not just during the holiday, but using generative AI can help you understand what are some of those choke points. And many of the customers that we're working with are leveraging that information and then incorporating it to Gen AI to actually reduce returns. And that means enhancing the product detail page, giving customers more confidence in what they're buying.
Listen, you get it. AI is a game changer on so many levels. But
I think you probably
incorporating
just stop.
AI into your daily workflow takes, what's the word?
The rest of it's but that part, right? So AI helps with e-commerce. I don't know how many people here have e-commerce sites, but if you do, Salesforce can help with e-commerce sites. They build out their own e-commerce sites. And again, you can start sending out offers based on what they looked at. It reduces your return rates based on generative AI. You saw there that they have the ability to use AI bots to talk on any media, social, any medium that they reach out to you with. So one of the biggest things in 2024, and actually it's been like this for the last decade or so, is people expect to be communicated to on the platform that they want to be communicated on. Businesses struggle with, is it Instagram, is it Facebook, is it my website, is it this, is it that, is it 15 other things? And then moving that data from one point to the other point is also extremely hard. So the data that I might get on Facebook, does my customer service rep know that this customer has been talking to us for the last week all about a particular subject? If it doesn't transfer from Facebook into your customer service people or to your salespeople, then what good is that information at if it doesn't show the whole picture? So Salesforce brings, and I say Salesforce, CRMs, so customer relationship management systems, bring in all of your information from different points and allow you to see it's called the customer 360, all the touch points of a customer. Next.
Now that we're well
Next
into
again. All right, here's the fun part. Marketing. Next, hit the play button, please. So this is the
Thank you for
personalization
joining
we're
this
talking
quick how-to
about.
screen cap.
Go ahead.
Brought to you by Salesforce Support. To see more content like this, hit subscribe.
Interaction Studio is a powerful platform that allows you to capture user behavior in real time on your website that then connects to an individual profile, allowing you to personalize their experience in the moment. However, the way this occurs is not always clear. Is it magic? Am I a wizard? Unfortunately, neither are true. The process is actually very straightforward and starts with our Web SDK. Through a first-party cookie, Interaction Studio was able to capture key data elements about an anonymous visitor
Can you push stop for a
or
second?
a known customer as they interact with your site.
Okay, so I don't know what SDK is. It's irrelevant to me. What is important people know is that as of this year, third-party tracking cookies are starting to go away. Starting to be against the law. And so you might start seeing a lot more websites saying, hey, we have these cookies enabled, and now I'm giving you the opportunity not to participate in that. That's how advertising has been going for the last 10 years. So how you do that differently is, we just talked about their first-party cookies. So that means I'm tracking your IP address. So when you come in, it's not necessarily a cookie, but I'm actually tracking the IP address. It's an anonymous IP address until you do something that will identify who you are. But that IP address can now be in my system for the last 5 years as an anonymous person who's coming in and interacting with us. And as soon as they do something that identifies them, download a website, download a thingamajigger, sign up for a newsletter, as soon as they say yes to something, now they're identified and all of their past interaction that was anonymous becomes reality. So go ahead, push play, you should see the rest of that in a second.
To put this into practice, I'm going to start a journey as a customer, exploring the website. The instant I arrive on the site, a new unique profile is created for an anonymous user within Interaction Studio. Recently, I have been interested in going on a camping trip and want to purchase a new tent. First, I'm going to check out what gear they have. Now, I'm going to drill further down into the catalog by looking specifically at camping. I'm looking for at least a 2-person tent that won't break the bank. The Storm Break 3 tent looks perfect, so let's take a closer look at some of the details on the product display page. I'm not ready to purchase just yet, so I'm going to stop my journey here. Now, let's transition back to Interaction Studio to see how this data is then popular within the platform. Interaction Studio captures activity at the website and per user level as events that can be viewed in the event stream report on the left-hand rail. I can use this to find the profile where these real-time actions were just captured on the Northern Trail Outfitters site. Navigating to the bottom of this profile screen is a tab called the Event Stream. Here, it shows each action I took and every page I viewed during my journey. We can see page view in action with a specific timestamp, including home page, view category, view item, and even view cart. For more granular detail, I can go back to the Overview tab and check the purchase stream on the right-hand side that shows my interaction with the Northern Trail Outfitters catalog. For example, what category and product I viewed, as well as how long my online session was this visit. So as you can see, no magic or wizardry here, except the interactions with your site being captured in real time to enable real-time interaction management and personalization across your channels. For more information, check out the knowledge base to access anything Interaction Studio.
Yes, Derek.
So every time I look at a website, that's happening somewhere?
If they have that, yes, that's happening somewhere. And for major stores like a Dick's or a Walmart, highly likely, yes, that's happening.
Is that something, that's not considered a cookie, that's just,
That's their first party, so they're tracking your IP address.
but they can do that and there's no, I can't say don't do that.
Correct. Yep. Because it's just tracking it. It's because you're anonymous.
Right.
Right. So they're not invading your privacy. They're tracking IP address 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Right.
Yeah. Until you actually raise your hand, a little harder to do.
Got it.
But you're starting to see those. Things. You're starting to be able to. You'll be able to start tracking that across your website stuff. And again, the purpose of this today is not necessarily I just want you to see what's available and how people are starting to work smarter. The last slide with e-commerce, I don't know if you guys caught it or not, but Salesforce helps influence like billions of transactions every year. And at Christmas time, it's like trillions of decisions that are influenced by Salesforce because they work with so many major retailers that they are helping influence the way that people shop. Now, if that person with the Northern Outfitters identifies themselves, right, now you know, hey, I can send a coupon for the Storm Tracker tent, and maybe that'll cause them to buy. And you guys might have seen that. I get that as well. So I went to, I'm going on vacation in July. I went to way.com, cheap place to pay for parking for airports. I didn't buy, I left. I get a coupon in my email. Hey, here's a 5% discount if you finish your order. They have abandoned cart. So this person put something in the cart and then didn't buy, right? So that's called an abandoned cart. So there's a whole marketing campaign you can do on abandoned carts. Abandoned carts are like 70–80% of people put stuff in the cart and then they will buy. But you can do a whole abandoned cart marketing campaign, all done automatically, so you're not thinking about it. That increases the abandoned cart, or decreases that significantly, and brings up revenue, and you're not doing anything. Your sales team isn't doing anything. You're working smarter, not harder. Next slide, please.
Thank you for joining this quick how-to screencast brought to you by Salesforce.
All right. So far we've talked about sales. We talked about e-commerce, right? And we talked a little bit about marketing. Now we're going to talk about customer support. So, when someone doesn't go the right way, how do you handle that? Go ahead and push play.
You don't have to monitor your business's support email, Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube channel on top of the heap of other tasks on your list. Get it all into Salesforce automatically to save your team time and money. Here's how it works. Connect your support email to Salesforce to turn incoming emails into cases. You can answer right away, leveraging merge fields, canned responses, email templates, and articles to save time without losing that personal touch your customers love. Your social media mentions and direct messages can come in as cases too. You can respond from Salesforce or go directly to the source. Everything works together to make sure that all of your work is in one place. You'll never miss a beat, and your team can offer consistent and personalized support. Go ahead and close all your open email and social media tabs and let your customers' feedback come to you. Your customers never go unheard, and your team isn't up all night scrolling through Twitter, unless they want to be. It's a win-win. To learn more, take a look at these resources in Salesforce Help.
Okay, go ahead and stop. So again, just working smarter versus harder. Automation. You can have automatic responses based on the top common issues that you have. It will automatically create an email or case for you to address, but it also can address it for you automatically depending on what you do and how you set that up. So you're not going to all these different places. You're in one place. It's all about, can everybody see what's going on with customers? So I will go back into the Providence Consulting when I was there for 3 months, and the owner's son was the VP of product development or something like that. His name was Scott. He's 36 years old. He went down to North Carolina to do some Diamondback motorcycle trail. He was coming back up. He wanted to make sure he was back for Mother's Day. He was in Cincinnati. It was raining. It was late. He was tired. He missed the on-ramp and hit a guardrail and was in a coma for a week. He held so much information about our customers in his head. If you're a business owner, you probably have a whole bunch of information about your customers and what they like and all in your head. The problem is when something like that happens, a tragedy like that happens, all of it gets lost. Right? So if you don't get it out of people's heads and into a system, then if that person, and think about just COVID too, right? That happened just a couple of years ago. It seems like forever ago, but it definitely changed the way people do business. Your key employee gets COVID and is out for 6 months. They don't die, but they're out for 6 months, so they're so sick. How do you do business when you don't know what's going on with it? So Salesforce allows you to track all of your interactions, not only your interactions, but the company's interactions with that particular company or person or persons in that company. So you can see meetings, you can see emails, you can see when they called, you can see all the opportunities they've had, all what they're talking about, so that if you lose a key employee, whether that is you have to fire somebody, they quit, they get sick, gosh forbid, they get hit by a bus. My brother's wife's sister. Memorial Day weekend was at Silver Lake, watching drag strips. She got hit by a drag person doing the dune buggies. Died instantly. She had a 6-year-old, 2-year-old, and her husband was all there. The 6-year-old saw it. My whole point is she was 33 years old. You never know what life's going to have. You never know what God's plan is for you. So if you're a business owner and you're not planning for the inevitable or for the unexpected, when the unexpected happens, you're a lot of hurt. You just never know how much time you have left. It's important that from a business perspective, you're always trying to say, if my key employees or anyone leaves tomorrow and doesn't come back in for whatever reason, can my business move without skipping a beat? Yes, it'd be better if that person's there, but can it pick up? And if it can't, then you need to look at what do I need to put in place in the next year so that I can move forward. And anytime, if I lose any key employee, I can still move forward and my business isn't going to suffer as a result. Next slide, please. Next one, yes, please. All right, this is a fun. This is AI, and again, it's marketing, but this is some pretty slick stuff. Go ahead, push play. Next level stuff, but it's still fun. Pause for a quick second. So I don't know if you guys quite caught there or not, but they dragged audience into this email. So they have pet owners, dog owners, and cat owners. They have 3 different images that was just created for the same email that are going to be different based on if you are a dog owner, a cat owner, or they don't know they're just a pet owner. All by just, and they all get different content. Go ahead, let's play. It's not. So typeface to me is mind-blowing. I have a marketing degree. I'm not the best. I didn't realize marketing meant I really should be an advertising graphic artist person if I want to be in marketing. But for people who can't afford high quality marketing material, you saw they just made that in like 30 seconds. So you import your images of your product and you say what kind of background you want and what they did it. Boop, they give you 10 different pictures that you can use, and now you have your marketing material done. all for you out through the typeface. And so typeface you can buy by yourself, but you also can integrate it in with Salesforce, which would then allow you to do marketing like they showed you. So again, this isn't necessarily, hey, go buy this, but this is for you to realize this is what you're up against, because businesses are starting to do this. So if you can't bring that level of personalization, your competition eventually will, and then that's what you're going to be up against. So you got to figure out a way to do either similar things or to compete against that. What else can you do? But they're giving hyper personalization, because every business, every interaction, they're tracking through that web personalization website, and then they're using that to run campaigns. And with Facebook, with Typeface, it's just an experience that most small businesses can't compete with. This stuff, if you're looking at it, if you have enough web traffic, it might make sense for you to take a look at it. I say enough, that would be like 150,000 plus page views a month. If you have like 20 or 30,000, it's not gonna be worth it. But if you have like 150 or more, looking at this sort of stuff would make sense for you guys to look at.
150,000 what?
Page views per month?
Page.
Yep. Go ahead and hit next. All right, so that's the end of that part. This is my 6 questions I talked about. Hit first one. So this is what took me from a mediocre salesperson to a great closer of new business. And what I found taking no selling is that there are 6 questions you should ask every time you're talking to somebody, including real estate and whatever, buying a car. The first one is, what do you like most about whatever it is you're selling? So if you're buying a car, for example, or we'll use real estate because we have a couple people in real estate. What do you like best about your current house? Next. Why is that important to you? Why is that particular product, feature, whatever, why is that important to you? Next. What, besides price, do you dislike most about your current house? Or whatever the product service you're selling. Next. Why is that a problem for you? Next. If I could do something different for you the next time you buy a house, or next time you buy a house, I could do something, if I could do something different for you, what would that be? Next. Why is that important to you? What do you think those 6 questions tell you? Anybody? It's their dominant buying motive. What is the most important thing that causes people to buy? So the first 2 are, again, what do they like most about their current product, right? So does your product do that or better? What do they hate, right? Or what do they dislike about it? What is their pain point? Without a pain point, people aren't going to change. They're not going to buy something. If they're happy with what they have, even if your product's better, they're still not going to buy because they're happy with what they have, right? So it is, what is their biggest pain point? What do they dislike most about their current? And they'll tell you, well, my house is too small. They may tell you it's location. They may tell you, what I really love about the house is when people pull up, or when I pull up, I feel like I'm successful. I finally had this Tudor home that I've always wanted, whatever. They'll tell you what they're looking for in a new product or service. And then the last one, what can I do differently for you, is how can you differentiate yourself? What is it that they didn't like about their last buying process that is still sticks in their mind? So maybe it is, well, the last time I bought this house, the real estate agent never called me back. They never, or last time I sold it, right? They never told me very much feedback from people that came through. I knew people were coming through, but I didn't know, why I wasn't getting an offer. They didn't tell me. So, okay, so if I'm hearing you right, if I can find you a home that is 3 bedrooms, 2 baths in the school district that you're looking for, that doesn't have a neighborhood full of dogs that keep you up at night, and I can give you information about, I can give you feedback about your current house and selling it, would there be any reason why we wouldn't do business together today? 9 times out of 10, They'll stop for a second, they'll go, no, if you can do all that stuff, yeah, absolutely we can do business together. So I found when I ask those 6 questions, my closing ratio is significantly higher than when I don't. I don't know what it is definitely, but I know that if I don't ask those 6 questions, I probably have a 30-40% closing ratio. If I do ask those 6 questions, it's probably 70 to 90%. And I make sure that I understand what it is that's important to them. Without knowing what's important to them, it's really hard to sell. Because what they say is important, in your regular discovery, may not be what's really important to them. So this helps you figure out what the main thing is that you need to address. Next. Oh, this is the last one, then we're done. Replace the ABCs of selling with ABVs. So there's a saying in sales, she's talking, saying in sales, it should always be closing. I hate that saying because to me that means that I'm trying to manipulate you into buying something that you don't want or need. I don't want to be closing. I want to always be adding value. Always be adding value. It doesn't matter if I do business with you today or tomorrow or never. If my interaction with you is a positive one, if I add value to you, you will eventually bring business to me. And even if you don't bring business to me, I made your life better by adding value. And so if you're adding value, and this is a key part where I find people lose sight of. So when you give the proposal and they say, I have to think about it, which happens probably 8 times out of 10, right? Well, let me think about it. I have to crunch numbers, blah, blah, blah. And then it's been 3 weeks and they haven't said yes and they haven't said no and you're waiting and trying to see. You should have already a plan. After I get the proposal, how can I reassure them that this is the right decision? What added value can I give them? Maybe it's a testimonial. Maybe it's a white paper. Maybe it's whatever. You should have 2 or 3 follow-up emails that aren't saying, hey, just checking in with you. Did you want to buy? Did you want just checking in? I just want to see how you're doing. How are you helping them solve their problem? What are you doing differently than anybody else? You're staying in touch with them, but you're not asking for the sale. They know you want the sale because you're asking for a big ticket item if you're doing business to business. They know you want business, but you're not just saying, hey, what do you think? You're adding value. So when you replace always be closing with always adding value, you will see your sales increase, and you'll see, more importantly, both your personal brand and your business brand go up because they don't feel like the only reason why you're calling them is to make a sale. They feel like you actually care about them. And you should, right? It shouldn't be, whether I ever do business with anybody in this room or not, is really irrelevant to me. If I can add value, if hopefully you learn 1 or 2 things that can help your business today, then I've done my job. Right? It's always add value. And when you add value, you have a better life. You're more at peace with yourself because you're not trying to swindle people into buying something that they don't care about. And if you're doing your job right, you've done the discovery, you found out what their pain points are, and you only proceed if you honestly believe that you can solve their pain points at a good value. So my rule of thumb has always been, if I wouldn't, knowing what I know now, if I wouldn't sell this product or service to my own mom or dad, which I have a great relationship with, at this price, why am I selling to someone else? I should be able to confidently sell the same product to my parents as I do to you, and if I can't do that, I shouldn't be selling it. At least not for that price point, right? I should be selling it at price point, and I should be confident that I would recommend the same thing to my mom and dad. Now, obviously, there's different things you don't know about because you only talked to them for half an hour. So I would say, given what I know, would I sell this to my parents? And if I can answer that yes, then I can confidently propose it. And if I say no, then I confidently do not propose it and I move on. That's all I have. Thank you very much.